Trini parents know that there is nothing such as a child's privacy. As long as they are living under your roof, a child has nothing such as privacy. And that is written in the Trini Parents Code of Conduct. At least that is how it would seem. That is the common thing said when Trini parents talk about a child's privacy. If a child is looking to close their door, lock their door, there's nothing like that. You can't close my door. You can't lock my door. I was speaking to a parent, a mother, a single mother not too long ago, and she was talking about how her child behaves in school, and she was saying what she tells her child when he goes to school. She has one son, and she says, when you pick up my bag with my books and put it on your back and go to school with my money. And just the phrasing of it, you understood very well what she meant there. You must understand that I am paying for this situation. I have control over this situation. You don't really have much of a say here. And now, many people in the more know of things with a more modern approach and probably more scientific even, in certain quarters it may be seen as that, their approach, they say that, well, a child must have privacy. If you're talking about growing a child properly, if you're talking about a child growing up and maturing in the right way, then there must be times when you leave them private and allow them to be able to figure out certain things on their own. And I don't disagree, but it could seem like that could come at loggerheads with the typical, more traditional way of parenting. And what's interesting is I saw a news story today that kind of leans down some of that more typical way of parenting, where one school was searching the children's phones, going through the children's phones like, listen, you must open your phone. And a teacher or whoever else in the school allegedly is going through your images, your media on your phone, and that's kind of strange. But then if you also believe that a child has no privacy, that kind of aligns with it. Let's see how that story goes and what we can get from that story. Before we get into the story, of course, as per usual, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed, and drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about this issue. Do you think children should have privacy? At what age should a child have privacy? Should they ever have any? Drop a comment. Tell me what you think. And if you'd like to support, or if you just like the look of the t-shirt or the look of the hats, feel free to hit me up in my inbox. You can order one. Tell me what color, what size, what variety you'd like in it, the colorway, because you know you have the white and gray, you have the white and red, etc., etc. Tell me what you'd like and you can place your order, and you can have your own of any of the mindful merchandise. So let me know what you're interested in. All right, let's get into the story of this morning. Claim of teachers searching girls' phones. Now, I do think the fact that they are girls does make it, in fact, a bit more of a touchy subject. Just that alone. Parent, distasteful invasion of pupils' privacy. It's a totally inappropriate and distasteful invasion of privacy. That is how one parent described the searching of image and video content on the mobile phones of pupils by the staff of the St. Francois Girls' College in Belmont. Speaking on the condition of anonymity, the parent said his daughter came home from school on Wednesday and told her mother she's afraid to go to school with her phone because the teachers are not only taking the cell phones, but they were forcing random pupils to open their phones so they can go through the image and video content on the phones. He said when he found out, he told his daughter he didn't have a problem with them taking the phone away in the morning and returning it at the end of the school day. However, the extent of forcing a child to unlock their phone and then taking the phone from the child and going through all the content on the phone, he certainly has a problem with that. The parent said while he understood the school is trying to protect its image following some of the pupils having images of themselves in uniform end up on social media, they are going about it in a high-handed manner, which is wrong. Apparently, they're threatening to suspend anyone who has photographs of themselves in uniform on their phone. He said the purpose of his daughter having a mobile phone at school is for him and his wife to be able to contact her and ensure everything is going well during the course of the day, especially when school is dismissed. But now she's afraid because she has photos of herself in her uniform, which she would have taken at home. Now, this, I think, is a complex issue. The school is taking students' phones, making them unlock it, and going through the images and videos. And what they are saying they are looking for are any images of the child in school uniform. And I suppose they would be suspended or they would get in trouble for those images. Now, in the first place, is there a rule in the school that forbids taking images in your uniform? And if there isn't a rule, on what grounds can they do something like this? I understand what they are aiming to do. I understand you're aiming to protect the image, and many times students take videos, pictures of them engaging in all kind of negative activities with their school uniform on, and that it doesn't give a good image to the school, and the school is concerned about that. Understood. But is there a rule forbidding students from taking pictures with their uniform on? And can you really prosecute, or can you really punish a student for a picture or video with their uniform on? The parent added he was also dissatisfied with the fact that the school never informed parents they would be taking away the pupils' phones upon their arrival, or that they would be searching the content of the phones. And that, I think, is the main issue here. So I am of the view children do have privacy. And in my view, when I hear parents in the local context in Trinidad and Tobago talk about children don't have no privacy in my home, if you're being honest, if you're really looking at what the parents are saying there and you're giving them an honest evaluation of what they're saying, you're not trying to make it seem like some kind of other scary thing. They're not actually saying the children have no privacy. The actual thing they mean is they have a limited amount of privacy. Privacy isn't a discrete category, as in 1 and 0, as in on and off. It's a more continuous range of categories. It's not that you have privacy or you don't have privacy, and it's either or. Not really. There are varying levels of privacy you can have. So a newborn infant would have no real privacy. They are nude. They are nude basically most of the time, and they have no consideration for that. But even in the most traditional of households, a child at 14, 15 would have a certain level of privacy. Now, there could be some debate as to what that level of privacy should be and which level will be best for the child, but that's some debate. So it's not that there is no privacy. There is some. It's just which level it should be at. And to me, that decision, obviously, there are some parts of that you could see might be right or wrong, but generally speaking, on the subjective parts of how much privacy a child should have, I think that's up to the parent, for the most part. And if the school is attempting to push past a certain level of privacy, they need the parents' approval to do such. Maybe you could ask the parents and let the parents go through the child's phone, because in terms of that, I don't think I have a problem. I know some people may have such a problem where they may think children should have as much privacy as even having privacy and sole control over their devices. I don't agree with that. Because I think social media is too powerful of a tool, too powerful of even a weapon in certain senses, for a child to just have open access to it without any oversight. If you look at what social media does, what social media is capable of doing, if you look at that, you'll understand that in many cases, children don't have the ability, they don't have the necessary facilities to be able to really counteract what is coming out at them through social media, and they're still in a very formative phase. Let's look at some of the reactions that professionals have to what social media is doing to the teens. The dangerous experiment on teen girls. And more specifically, I know some people attempt to deny it in these days, but let's not even go down that road. There's a difference between boys and girls, and there's a difference in the developmental stages of teen girls, and what social media does to them is a little more specific in how dangerous it could be in the long run. The dangerous experiment on teen girls, the preponderance of the evidence suggests that social media is causing real damage to adolescents. Social media gets blamed for many of America's ills, including the polarization of our politics and the erosion of truth itself, but proving that harms have occurred to all of society's had. Far easier to show is the damage to a specific class of people, adolescent girls, whose rates of depression, anxiety, and self-injury surged in the early 2010s as social media platforms proliferated and expanded. Much more than for boys, adolescents typically heightens girls' self-consciousness about their changing body and amplifies insecurities about their fit in their social network. Social media, particularly Instagram, which displaces other forms of interaction among teens, puts the size of their friend group on public display and subjects their physical appearance to the hard metrics of likes and comment counts, takes the worst parts of middle school and glossy women's magazines and intensifies them. One major question, though, is how much proof parents, regulators, and legislators need before intervening to protect vulnerable young people. So, in some sense, what you can go through this article, it's from The Atlantic, and it's very informational. You can search for Jonathan Haidt, and he has done quite a bit of research on this. He is a psychologist, and he has done quite a bit of research on how social media affects these young teens. And you could see some of the negative effects there. But in what his research is showing is there needs to be some intervention. So maybe what the school is doing isn't totally wrong. Taking these girls' cell phones and being able to search it and search inside behind the lock codes might actually be something that maybe needs to be done. But as I said, the right method in doing it is going through the parents. You cannot go from the state side and do this. This is something that I've always found so strange when I look at government and state solutions to so many problems. So often you see people who believe in the state, and generally speaking, we're talking about professionals, experts in their fields, because these are the people that governments pay to find solutions to these problems. So often you see them and they criticize the cultural solutions. They criticize the more traditional cultural and societal solutions where parents would say, this child has no privacy, and you may hear stories about a parent, the child locks the door once and then they go to school and come home and see that their parents have taken the door off the hinge. You no longer get a door, you get a curtain. I can open your curtain when I see fit. You have no privacy in my home. And you see sometimes some of the public figures, some of the professionals, the technocrats, they say things like, that is horrible. That's not a good thing. That's not how it should be done. And then so strange to me is when you see the state gets professional help to figure out their solutions, they so often go full circle and end up doing the same thing in some other way. So they say that the cultural solution of parents selecting marriages in arranged marriages is horrible. And then you start to see, well, the degradation of the whole family structure. And then they try to go around some state way to offer state funding to encourage young people to get married and stay there. You mean the same thing that parents and families were doing all along? Or they say this child deserves their own privacy, and then the child does something ridiculous. And next thing you know, they end up in a state facility, and the state has some program monitoring all of their internet activity, and you're like, okay, so you mean the child should not have been given that amount of privacy, the same thing that a parent may have been saying. And I'm not saying that parents and the society and cultural norms aren't sometimes wrong, because we all know sometimes they are very wrong, but many times the solutions that we offer from the government, from the state, aren't actually any better. Many times they are very much worse, and maybe the solution might be helping parents do what they should and teach them, the nuances, the balancing of, yes, you are supposed to give them some privacy, but really and truly, maybe we should be considering whether these young people should be on social media at all, whether it's something too dangerous for them in the first place. The Minister of Education had a response to this, and it was fair. In a WhatsApp response to questions posed by the Express, Education Minister Nyan Gadsby-Dolly stated the lodging of phones at the start of the school day is not a ministry policy, but is a long-established policy of the school. She noted the checking of phones is not a part of the school policy. The school had a report of a group of Form 1 pupils involved in a WhatsApp group with other persons purported to be students from different schools. This report came from a student involved in said group. The student indicated that the content shared by the group was pornographic in nature. So what was going on there is they had the occurrence of a large WhatsApp group and several students were inside of the group, and the group involved multiple students, multiple people, not all of whom were from the school. So they had a meeting. The next day, I believe. One guardian gave the school permission. One guardian gave permission for their ward's phone to be checked in their presence. And the WhatsApp group with over 190 members was discovered. Now, this should be a lesson to young people in the first place. Like, I mean, some of these things aren't that secretive. You're going to get yourself in trouble eventually. It's not like it's going to remain hidden for a long time. It may be hidden right now, but eventually it will be revealed and you're going to get yourself in trouble. So whatever you're doing on social media, whatever you're doing on the internet, maybe your standard should be that I am confident that whatever I'm doing here, I'll be okay if the entire internet sees it, because there is a high likelihood that precisely that can happen eventually. The content posted and shared in this group consisted of pornographic material, including lewd language and videos made and posted by some of the students themselves. So that was going down a very dark rabbit hole, and I believe on the grounds of that is where the school began searching phones, etc. Now, how could I not understand this? How could you not understand what the school is saying there? If you are in charge of a school with young ladies, Form 1 students are in a group. Bear in mind, when it's on social media, it's on the internet, someone could say they're another Form 2 people from another school, and they could be a grown hardback man living in Barataria. So you never know who is on the other side of that. Well, it's hard to know who is on the other side of that screen. And that is a scary thing. Lewd comments and images inside of a massive 190 member group with Form 1 students. Form 1 is 12 and 13-year-old children, and this could have adults in it. So you could be talking about something going down the line of pedophilia. And from that group, you don't know, there may be predators in there looking for people in the group to select and private message on their own and go down a further line. I understand that is something rightfully very scary. But is the solution for that the school, the government, the state, the authorities to take a child's phone and go through their private photos and videos? As a parent was saying, one of the concerned parents, my child may have a picture or a video of me in my short pants, comfortable at home, barbecuing something in the backyard. That's not necessarily an image I would want a teacher looking at. My child may have pictures or just content from my family home that I would have zero interest in any teacher or anyone else seeing. My child may have things that may not be private to my child, but may be private to my family. And that's not your business as a teacher to look at it. So, granted, I don't think that's the way to get out of this. But looking at it from the grand scale of things, where we're seeing that these young people are probably getting a net negative out of social media, maybe the solution is from the parental side. Are you sure that allowing your child to access these powerful tools without very stringent oversight is a good idea? Maybe, and this could sound far out there, but maybe, because as I said, it's not, privacy isn't discrete, it's not on or off, it's levels of privacy. Maybe the level of privacy for social media should be one as such that a child's social media should always be open in another device, always simultaneously connected to their parent's device. So at any given time, a parent could go through a child's social media. And that's not saying the child doesn't have privacy. Maybe the child could still have their diary and you're writing in your diary, and it's not good manners for a parent to go read through the child's diary. And the child has a door on their room and they have their own thoughts and they can have conversations and phone calls, etc., etc., etc. But the nature of social media, where you're opening up your child to this extremely powerful tool, maybe such a tool should not be opened up. Think think of it as opening up the passageway, open up this pipeway. Maybe before we open this pipeway to the internet to our child, maybe the parent should always be a filter to this internet pipeway that we open. There is so much information there. It's so useful. It's such a powerful tool. Yes, 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 yes. But there are people on the other side of that tool that are attempting to use the power of that tool against your child. And there are people also who may not even have nefarious or malevolent ideas towards your child. They are not aiming to do them something bad or evil, but the nature of the social media monster, as we see for the young ladies, for the teenage girls, is the negative effects. What do you think? How do you think we solve these kinds of issues? Do you think children deserve privacy? Do you think privacy is an on or off switch? It's either you have it or you don't have it. What level of privacy do you think children should have? How high should it raise? Should it be 0 until you leave my home? When you turn your own key, then you could have some privacy. Until then, privacy is how much I see. Do you agree? Tell me what you think. Drop a comment. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. And right before I go, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe as per usual, and I will see you later.